You've been lied to about AI a lot in 2025. It's not your fault. There's so much money to be made in these muddy AI waters. Even reputable organizations have squatted to all time lows to basically lie to you and try to make a dollar. Why? Well, because with a single viral study, markets can move and billions of dollars can be made. So, on today's show, I'm going to break down the three biggest AI lies you were told this year that you may have believed. And I'm going to slap a few of these silly studies around with facts and stats and let you decide. Were these three organizations who created these viral AI studies telling you the truth, or intentionally trying to mislead enterprise leaders in order to cash blank checks? Let's dig in and find out. I'm excited for today's episode. I hope you are too. Time for some Hot Take Tuesday, y'all, on Everyday AI. What's going on? My name is Jordan Wilson. Welcome to Everyday AI. If you're new here, we do this every single day. Monday through Friday, at least. It's a daily, unscripted, unedited live stream podcast and free daily newsletter helping everyday business leaders like you and me make sense of all this AI because it's coming at us nonstop. And what can you even believe anymore? All right. And I help you decipher it and grow your company and your career with the actual facts and stats that you need to know. So if that's what you're trying to do, awesome. It starts here. But to take it to the next level, make sure to go to our website at youreverydayai.com. Sign up for the free daily newsletter. We're going to be recapping today's show, but also on that very website, you can go listen to for free hundreds of hours. Yeah, 660 plus episodes from some of the brightest minds in AI, interviews with people from all over the place, all on our website for free. All right. And also, if you want today's AI news, make sure to check out today's newsletter. So, yeah, you've been told a lot of lies about AI in 2025. And aside from the money factor, because literally billions of dollars can be made with a single AI study or a single article that maybe is false or is cherry picking certain facts to make a certain trillion-dollar company look a certain way, or to say, hey, this AI startup's product is better than the other. It can literally move markets. It's not your fault, though, because not only are the AI waters muddy, because no one, or I would say hardly anyone, is an expert in the generative AI era, right? So unless you were an early employee in 2015 or 2014 at Google or OpenAI, hardly anyone has any real long-standing expertise in AI. So when you see all these studies from what looks like reputable organizations, you just kind of blindly believe them. And so does the media. And so do people on social media, right? So essentially these viral headlines just get trumpeted and, regurgitated, and everyone just believes them. But it's not the truth. I think, unfortunately, AI has become very polarized. It's become binary, right? It is hit or miss. It is doom and gloom or miracles. And there's often nothing in between. So on today's show, we're going to audit the $100 million conflict of interest behind the viral OpenAI is collapsing narrative. We're going to deconstruct the faulty science claiming that 57% of the internet is now AI slop, and expose the hidden definitions that label successful innovation in AI as 95% failure. Yeah, you know which one that is. MIT. All right, so here are the three myths that we're going to be tackling today. So myth number one, that Anthropic has overtaken OpenAI in the enterprise. Yeah, that was a study from Menlo Ventures. Doesn't make sense. Myth number two, the dead internet, right? Is 57% of the web really AI generated? That was from Graphite. Spoiler alert, there's no way to prove it. And myth number three, not that you needed to hear me talk about this again, but y'all, I still am seeing these posts on social media and even new articles referencing this all the time. The 95% failure rate of Gen AI pilots study from MIT, right? So yeah, if 95% of AI pilots are failing, why are the smartest and biggest companies in the world spending hundreds of billions of dollars? I don't know. So This, I think, and I think it's important to talk about this here, as we are in December in the last month of the year, because it's important to reflect on the conversation, the overall conversation of AI. And so many times, right, it's predicated or based around a couple of things, right? Usually new model releases, benchmarks, that's one thing. And then the other is just the narrative. And like I said, it is binary. It is either, AI is the best thing ever or AI is absolutely terrible. And usually there's some weaponized studies that go either way, right? And they all start with real data. The data gets massaged and cherry picked, obviously, and try to put into the best light possible. So we're going to break down some of those three biggest AI studies or research papers that have dominated a lot of the conversation in 2025, but they're wrong. All right. I think it's important because we need to find the middle ground, right? In AI, there's so few things that are binary, right? Even as myself, someone that talks about AI every single day, I don't think AI can do everything, right? But I also know that AI is very capable. So I think it's important to have a balanced look, but laced with straight hard facts. Because it's every day. It's, hey, AI changes everything, to, oh, AI is a scam, AI is a bubble, right? And the truth is actually just much messier. It is nuanced. And well, unfortunately, if you write a study that is factual and you try to give it a headline that is balanced, it's not going to get clicks, right? It's not going to drive the narrative. I'm a former journalist, right? There's a story or a saying that if it bleeds, it leads, right? You don't find the median of your study's findings. You find the outlier, and then you slap it with the sexiest headline possible, right? That you're like, hey, this is going to be the headline that sells this newspaper. This is going to be the headline that gets us clicks, that gets us ad revenue, that puts us as a thought leader in this space, right? That gives us sales. So let's look at lie number one, or not truth number one, right? We'll say that. Menlo Ventures, their report that claimed that Anthropic is beating OpenAI in the enterprise. Oh my gosh, people believe this. Smart people. Literally, I saw dozens of smart people that I once respected, tweet this out or put this out on LinkedIn or write long Medium articles about this. And I'm like, some of these articles were almost as long as this study, yet they just glossed over the fact that no one should even look at this, almost as bad as the MIT study, which I'll obviously get to. But this is laughable, y'all. Anyways, Menlo Ventures, right, a venture fund, they, in July, they had their mid-year LLM market update, and it said Anthropic overtook OpenAI in enterprise market share, right? It said that Anthropic now holds a 32% and OpenAI is 25%. And, people started talking about this flippening, right? Because before OpenAI was in the lead and now Anthropic's in the lead. Oh my gosh. And everyone just literally copy, paste, repeated this stat. I swear humans don't like to use their brains anymore. It's the social mediaification of our brains. Our brains have literally become rot. Because all people care about, they look at a graph and a headline and then they'll just repeat it. Use your brains. All right. This study is garbage. And apologies to people in garbage. I have friends in garbage who are brilliant. So to call this study garbage is doing a disservice to those people. So let's look at this. The big kind of graphic that caught everyone's attention, right? It's labeled here. So live stream audience, you'll see this on my screen. Podcast audience, nothing super visual in today's show, but you can always go watch the video version on our website, youreverydayai.com. This graphic showed in 2023, obviously, the enterprise large language model API market share. So in 2023, Anthropic was at 50%, or sorry, OpenAI was at just over 50%, and Anthropic was at like 12%, right? And then in 2025, according to Menlo Ventures, it flipped, right? So what was the exact stat? It was now Anthropic holds 32% versus OpenAI's 25%. So the headlines all read, Anthropic overtakes OpenAI in enterprise, but no one read it. All right. Also, did no one cared to bother to see like, oh, when did these companies launch, right? OpenAI obviously launched in 2022, Anthropic in mid 2023. So yeah, of course, by default, Anthropic's market share is going to be much smaller when their product wasn't even out the entire year. Anyways, facts would hurt our brains apparently. But here's the important part. This Menlo report is not neutral. It's promotional. We need to look at who Menlo Ventures is. Well, they're a venture fund and they have invested billions into Anthropic. Let me get the exact math here. Let me fact check myself here in real time. So, okay, no, sorry, over reportedly over $1.2 billion. So billion plus. All right. But regardless, Menlo Ventures is a huge financial supporter in Anthropic. So they obviously have a lot to gain. And Menlo Ventures has publicly declared that Anthropic is the single largest investment in the firm's history. And they led Anthropic's Series C, D, and E funding round, which was billions of dollars. So this obviously is just an investor talking up their own book of business. And not only that, but Menlo and Anthropic actually co-created the Anthology Fund specifically to fuel Anthropic ecosystem adoption. So startups in this fund receive $25,000 in free Anthropic credits and $100,000 in AWS credits. And guess what? It's really easy to use on AWS, and especially in 2023 and 2024. Oh, Anthropic. So essentially, they're paying companies in this Anthology Fund to adopt Claude. And guess who they surveyed? You'll never guess. People in their fund, in their joint fund. All right. Yeah. So this entire claim came from a survey, a single survey, where they talked to 150 technical decision makers, but they were pulled from Menlo's own venture capital network and portfolio ecosystem. So yeah, this is selection bias so obvious. It's embarrassing that anyone even reported on this or talked about it, because this is clearly marketing. All right, bad marketing, by the way. But people fell for it. And here's a couple important details, right? Aside from the fact selection bias at its finest or at its worst, and the fact that it was 150 people, well, it only looked at API usage, right? It sounds super comprehensive, but it's not, because it completely ignores Microsoft Copilot, which guess what? Up until 4 months ago was built almost entirely on OpenAI's models. So they really overlooked the entire enterprise at the time when this study came out. Microsoft Copilot had the largest slice of the enterprise. So they ignore the fact that OpenAI's models power Microsoft Copilot. Obviously, they use Anthropic in some instances now, and they just cherry picked API calls only. Oh, and the fact that ChatGPT Enterprise is one of the fastest growing software products ever, and they have more than 1 million business users, which Anthropic obviously does not. So again, they rigged the result of this before it was even produced. So let's just go ahead and say how this is disguised as market research, but it's just marketing. So Menlo invests more than $1 billion in Anthropic. It then creates a $100 million fund to accelerate Claude adoption. They give startups a bunch of money to use Claude, and then they survey those same people, and then they announce, oh, Claude is winning. Come on. This is trying to make the market, not measure it. All right. And talk about revenue, right? OpenAI has more revenue than Anthropic. They have more customers. They have more users. So no, there is no flippening. No, Anthropic did not overtake OpenAI in any measurable overall scope of enterprise usage. It's not even close. So just FYI, if you believe this, if you saw this, again, it's not your fault. But if you saw anyone talking about this, go ahead, unfollow them, delete them, right? Stop. You need to stop paying attention to people that don't want to read and don't want to understand facts. Because independent data And anyone with a brain knows that OpenAI is still leading overall enterprise adoption. So data from RAMP from October showed that 93% of organizations who have a vendor in the Gen AI category use OpenAI, and that OpenAI maintains the highest adoption among enterprise companies at 95%. So the truth is, surveying 150 people from your own network is has absolutely nothing to do with actual real enterprise AI usage, right? When billions of people use generative AI, you don't talk to 150 people in your backyard who you know how they're going to answer because you're paying them to use that product. Menlo's just promoting their fund and not conducting real research. All right, line number two. Here's one I don't think I've actually talked about a lot on this show. The graphite study that claimed 57% of the internet is now AI slop. All right, so this was a study in October that analyzed 65,000 URLs via the Common Crawl database. And Graphite claimed that over half of these new articles are AI generated. So these were, quote unquote, new articles from Common Crawl. And then the headlines all said that the internet is now slop, or, dead internet theory is officially here and there's more AI content on the web than human written content. So let me just say this first. I don't necessarily disagree, right, with the underlying premise here from the graphite study, right? I'm someone that's been a writer my whole life, right? Not my whole life, but I've been getting paid to write for 24 years, right? So, wow, saying that out loud is that hurts to say, right? But I've been getting paid to write for almost a quarter century. So I know how much the internet has shifted to just becoming a lot of slop now. And even before ChatGPT, there was plenty of generative AI content going back to 2020. And then before that, there's spin tax and all these other, just there's pre-AI slop, and now it's AI slop. So don't get me wrong. I agree with the premise that probably more than half of what's written now is AI slop. However, the methodology is garbage. There's no way to decide this, right? So here we had this graphic that kind of went viral that showed over time, right, since the early 2020, the percentage of human written content was near 100. AI written content was in the single digit percentage, and then now today, AI content has overtaken or surpassed human content. So here's the problem. They used Surfer SEO's AI content detector to classify these 65,000 articles. And if the detector flagged more than 50% of an article as AI, they labeled the whole thing as AI generated. So this entire half the internet AI claim depends on one commercial detector being accurate. Guess what? It's not. No, but this isn't anything against Surfer, right? Surfer AI. It's actually a fantastic product. I've been using it for many, many years before I even started everyday AI. So Surfer has a great product, but any company that has an AI detection, there's no such thing. There's literally no such thing as AI content detectors for text, right? Because there's so many different things that you can do with AI content, right? You can put it in a quote unquote humanizer, right? No, I'm a dork. So before ChatGPT came out, I literally every single AI content detector at the time, because before ChatGPT, they had their GPT technology to dozens of different companies. And so pre-ChatGPT, there were even AI content text detectors. And at the time, I spent, 30 hours going through and looking at human written articles versus AI written articles and putting them through these detectors. Yeah, they're garbage. One AI content detector could say, hey, this piece is 99% AI, and another one could say it's 1%. All right. All these AI content detectors do is they measure statistical patterns in word choice, not actual authorship. So it's a pseudoscience, not an actual science. And the error rates are obviously massive. So here's an example. Right before, starting the show, I just grabbed, first part of the Bible, right? Genesis from the Bible, copy and pasted some of that. And 86%, right? 86% AI generated. So yeah, um, hey, biblical writers, you should have used your brain in divine intervention and not God GP. All right. Yeah. So yeah, these AI content detectors are all garbage. There's no such thing, right? Even right, you can make an argument like, oh, anyone that includes the follow up response from ChatGPT, that's a telltale sign. Is it? Maybe, yeah. But I could write that as a human to try to throw you off, couldn't I? Yeah, I could. So a lot of people point back to the time when even OpenAI had their own AI content detector. And this, unfortunately, I wish OpenAI never did this. And I said this at the time before OpenAI ever took it down. I'm like, this is dumb. It does not work. OpenAI needs to take this out. They eventually did. And the reason why, well, it's because it only got it right 26% of the time, worse than a coin flip. So detectors cannot detect. So if the company that built ChatGPT can't detect AI text, why should we trust any content detector? Well, we shouldn't. And it's actually bad. AI content detectors are bad because they target, unfortunately, non native English speakers. So detectors flag simple, structured sentences as robotic because that's how non native speakers write. So a Stanford study found that 61% of ESL, or English as a second language student essays, were falsely flagged as AI generated. And a Vanderbilt University actually disabled Turnitin's AI detector to avoid hundreds of false accusations per year. Hey, if you are working at a college university listening to this and you are still using one of these in the year 2025, stop. Tell someone, right? I will personally get on the phone with your president of the university and tell them that this is stupid, right? I won't even use better words than that. I will say this is dumb. You are robbing, whether it's for entry essays, homework, whatever. Yes, I know that it's a problem, right? Students are just copying and pasting everything from ChatGPT. They're not writing a single word, probably a single word of anything that they're turning in, especially if it's a hybrid or an online class where you just turn in a paper. They're not writing it. AI is, but you can't use these AI content detectors. Not a thing. So here's the truth about line number two. Well, there's no concrete way to prove text is AI generated. Yes, on the video visual side, there's synth ID, there's all of these things, but as quickly as any embedded watermark in whether we're talking about in text, in video, in photos, etc., as soon as anything pops up, there's already minutes or hours later, there's already multiple watermark removers, right? I remember when Sora came out, or Sora 2 came out, and it had these watermarks. Literally that same night, there was already multiple services that had watermark removers. Text is very easy to manipulate, change things, right? But again, there's no embeddable, invisible watermark in text like there is in video and photos. All right, line number three. I'm not going to go long on this one because I've already given it plenty of airtime. But the MIT NANDA study that claims 95% of AI pilots deliver zero ROI. Let's be honest, many, many, many people fell for this one, and you shouldn't have. So, this was an August 2025 report from MIT. Yes, that MIT that stooped so low, they would have won a limbo contest. Claimed that only 5% of AI pilots reach production with measurable business impact. Yeah, we don't. Even when MIT comes out with a study now, we just don't share it in our newsletter because I don't view MIT as a credible source of AI information anymore, which is crazy to say. And that statistic obviously went mega viral, right? When you can slap something on that says 95% of AI pilots fail, and then you get into this whole, AI is a scam or AI is a miracle, this binary, nothing in between, right? It went mega viral. And this actually spooked markets. Yes, markets moved billions of dollars because of this piece of marketing masquerading as a study. And this became the go-to proof for skeptics claiming enterprise AI is a bubble that's about to burst. FYI, for all the people, cold emailing, trying to get a guest on the show, or just trying to sell me some AI product, if you lead with the MIT 95% study, I don't read it, right? Because I don't know. To me, that just means that you need to do some reading and some thinking. So yeah, it was called the State of AI in Business 2025, right? And here was the telltale sign this thing was a dumpster fire before it got there. Again, sorry to my people in the trash fields. Um, you couldn't get this report. You had to fill out an application just to see the report. Yeah, there was a Google form. I didn't get it, but plenty of other people got it and then shared it online. And it was an absolute disaster. But when it came out, it was completely viral. And part of the reason, well, it was the media and social media, right? And that's why this show, the whole point is like, you got to be careful what you read and what you believe, because all of these articles that came out, I remember being an overworked journalist. I was a journalist for, I don't know, full time for like 7 years. It's hard, right? You're overworked, you're underpaid, you're always trying to not get scooped by someone else. You got to get the story out faster, 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 right? So everyone just essentially copy and paste the same headline, right? 95% of AI pilots have no return. So if you want my full hot take on this one, go listen to episode 597 because I'm going to wrap this one up quick. All right. So that 95% failure from MIT came from just 52 interviews. Oh my gosh. We thought the one from Menlo was bad with 150. This is 52 people. So that's 52 conversations. All right. And this is clickbait dressed up as academic research. And here's the thing, this was just a vibe study because even those 52 conversations, those were just directionally accurate. So in the paper that hardly no one read, in one of the little footnotes there, it talked about the research limitations. And it said, these figures are directionally accurate. All right, based on individual interviews rather than official company reporting. Sample sizes vary by category. How can you have categories when you only talk to 52 people? Sorry, what? There's like 3 people in each category. And success definitions may vary across organizations. In other words, this was a vibe study. It was directional accuracy only. It wasn't even a true like quantifiable study. These were conversations, and then someone over there is like, yeah, seems like this failed, right? Yeah, seems like it. No, this is garbage. I need to get a better word. What's a better word than one word calling something garbage? I don't know, rubbish, but that's just another word for garbage. Dumpster fire, garbage. Why is everything just say something's bad, garbage? I need to expand on that in 2026. All right. So, well, one of the reasons why, well, because MIT had a preconceived definition of success that they knew would come out with nothing but failures. And don't worry, it gets better because they turned it into an infomercial because only they can help you. Just wait. So success for their study, for their criteria, required measurable P&L. Yes, actual measurable movement on a profit and loss statement within 6 months of deploying a Gen AI pilot. My gosh, there's no such thing. Like nothing, no major IT pilot has success in 6 months on a P&L statement. Are you serious? Come on. Yeah, because most enterprise transformations need at least 12 to 18 months to even show financial results, even ones that are obvious, right? Not even AI. Like, hey, let's, I don't know, get our people computers, right? Takes years. So by definition, any new enterprise software initiative would fail by design out of the box. Nothing they can do about it. That's not the worst part. So the pilot successfully prevented a bad deployment would get counted as a failure. So the study just completely misclassified what a failure actually meant. So productivity improvements that don't immediately hit the P&L, failure, right? I don't know. If you can now get something done in half the time, but you can't prove that on the P&L, failure, right? So early stage products that needed more time to mature counted as a failure, even if they were showing signs of success, saving time, increasing revenue, didn't matter. But here's the thing. Here's the infomercial at the end. And like I see, MIT stooped to an all-time low on this one. And when I read this, I kid you not, I literally put my face in my palm when I read this, because MIT was literally trying to put themselves with their NANDA product, which stands for Networked Agents and Decentralized AI, right? So essentially, they're building new AI agent protocols. So they publish that 95% of current AI fails to essentially position their product as a solution. Yeah, marketing again. So Nanda at the MIT Media Lab, if you didn't know, because no one knows, because no one's heard of MIT's Nanda, right? Even me who covers AI every day, I had barely heard of it by the time this study came out. I had read about it like once, right? But they offer that solution to businesses for about $250,000. Yeah, covering their expertise, tools, and possible bespoke implementation. Yeah, so don't worry. Literally, MIT in this report said one of the reasons is, well, we need to start thinking agentic. And they put themselves in this Nanda product, um, in the same paragraph as some of the biggest names in agentic AI, as if like, it's almost like, how the bottom shelf is like the cheap generic stuff, and then the top shelf is the nice stuff. It's like they took something from the below the bottom shelf and they snuck it on the top shelf, thinking no one would notice. Yeah, we noticed. Like sorry, MIT Nanda is not in the same conversation as real enterprise agentic AI, right? It's not. So classic marketing funnel. Step one, publish an alarming study claiming that current AI has a 95% failure rate. Step two, you identify the learning gaps in static tools, right? They're saying that's the reason why AI is failing. It's because these static tools. And then, oh, don't worry. Step three, that's our solution, Nanda, because it's a learning capable system and new protocols. That's the solution, and you got to buy it. So obviously, other studies looking at AI and ROI tell a completely different story. I did this on the previous show, but yeah, real studies done by real companies that are unbiased, or mostly unbiased, right? But with tons of people show something completely different. So the Boston Consulting Group, AI at Work, uh, surveyed 10,000 plus employees, and they said that 75% of employees see value in momentum in AI. A study from McKinsey and Company, 1,300 participants, said that 92% of companies plan to increase their investment in generative AI. And if you want just strictly ROI, well, the EY study of 500 senior US leaders, but an actual study, not just a vibe conversation, 97% of senior leaders who invested in AI reports experiencing positive ROI. And then a Snowflake and ESG report of 1,000 business and IT leaders said that 92% of early adopters are seeing a positive return on investment of AI. So yeah, any legitimate study with sound methodology obviously shows a positive return on investment of AI, right? So here's the truth about line number three. It's clickbait, right? From a lab looking for customers, right? Looking to make a name for themselves. 52 interviews with a 6-month P&L requirement is not rigorous research methodology. It's a joke. No one, which is why I know half of the media people that wrote about this study did not read the whole thing, right? They probably read the synopsis, the first page overview, the last page overview, maybe ran it through an AI and said, bullet point this, right? Because if you have a brain and you read that and you're saying, oh, 6 month has to show success on a P&L, and I did this in the dedicated episode. Even their selection bias was ridiculous, right? But 52 interviews is what this is based on. Directional accuracy, right? It's like I talked to you for a little bit, and at the end, I'm like, yeah, I decided that your AI probably doesn't meet our criteria. Next, 52, y'all. I already said this. I can go on a parking lot at a conference, or I can go anywhere in an hour and come up with a better study with more sound methodology than this piece of marketing. Yeah, because studies with 20 times, 50 times larger samples show at least 70, 80, 90% are seeing a positive ROI versus if you look at the MIT study, it's 5%. Right. So here's the pattern, right, across these 3 AI lies that you've been told. So Menlo used 150 people from their own paid ecosystem while being Anthropic's largest investor ever to say Anthropic has overtaken OpenAI. Graphite used pseudoscientific detection tools that the FTC has literally sued companies over, and MIT used 52 interviews with an impossible success bar while building a competing technology to sell as the solution for the 95% failure rate. Do you see the trend here? Yeah. Bad methodology, bad studies, disguised as marketing. So here's what I want you to do in 2026 and beyond. Number one, read. Number two, unfollow anyone that's been sharing these uh, AI lies. But I want you to ask yourself these three questions. Any viral study? All right. Number one, who funded the research and what do they financially gain from the conclusion? In all three of these cases, right? Graphite, a lot of people don't know, they essentially sell SEO, right? So they come out with this study and, oh my gosh, Google hates AI, right? Because there are some other stats that said, 80 some percent of, what ranks on Google is human written. So it's like, oh, you need our SEO services, right? But all three of these companies had a very direct financial gain from cherry picking bad stats and selling it to you. So number one, who funded this research and what do they financially gain from the conclusion? Number two, does the study have sound methodology that an unbiased person with a brain would agree with? All right. Gosh, it's so sad that the bar is this low, but it is. This is the truth. And then number three, what are similar studies from unbiased third parties saying about the same subject? Right. Because yeah, if you look at studies that have sound methodology that talk to a lot of people. And if you look at multiple studies, you will start to see the trend. And the trend is, well, it's undeniable. At least when, ending on study number three, AI adoption is here. And you need to be paying attention to it. And you also need to be paying attention where you get your information from. All right. So I hope today's show was helpful. And well, I hope you continue to get your information from Everyday AI the rest of 2025 and 2026 and beyond. We spent a lot of time trying to cut through the nonsense, the BS, the marketing, the hype, and cutting it to you straight. So I hope this is helpful. But I think this episode was important because I got so many messages, emails about these types of studies all the time. And I'm sorry, I suck at emails. I can't get to them all, right, without having an AI answer, and I don't want that. But let me tell you this. I feel bad because so many well-intentioned business leaders saw some of these studies and it probably derailed either some of their AI progress or for those that were unfortunately still kind of sitting on the entire AI implementation fence in 2025, this caused them to sit on it for even longer. You cannot believe these types of studies because they're not real, right? You need to use your own brain. You need to read, right? Literally, I talk to people who made huge multi-million-dollar AI decisions on some of these studies. And clearly they did not read it, right? They did not read past the headline or the one cherry-picked graphic. We all need to do better, all right? AI is here to stay. It's driving the conversation, whether you want it to or not. All right, so please, in 2026, let's all do better. Not everything is binary. Let's actually read. Let's use our brains. Let's put the human, keep the human in AI, right? All right, so I hope this is helpful. If so, please go to youreverydayai.com. If you could, share this show, repost this, because I think more people need to hear this. And then go to our website at youreverydayai.com. Sign up for the free daily newsletter. Thanks for tuning in. See you back tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI.